Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we are going to be playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And when we last played, we were trying to mediate an argument between a pickpocket and, well, to be perfectly honest, a very suspicious individual that claimed to be a gentleman. But I have my doubts. So, let's hop in and see how this plays out, shall we? Alright, so, who do we want to talk to? Let's try talking to the shopkeeper first. See what he has to say. Mr. Winterbank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. Exactly, okay. So, alright, what do you have to say? Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. Alright, so we have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Alright, well, let's talk to her, Gina. Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Okay, so there's got to be something else in here, right? Can we talk to Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. What? So. You found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket set me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows, cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, the 7% solution of caramel. What in the world? Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard as much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Or you really were sad, weren't you?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you.
It would seem that my inferences are correct.
Surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again?
Oh, my dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized? I can't say that word. How much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Well, obviously, we're going to listen to the deduction. I mean, Sholmes is our friend anyways. Even if it's completely absurd, we're still going to listen to it. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Harsh. And now the dancing gentleman. And pray, who tell are you? Mr. Egbert Benedict. You have in my eyes a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon? The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. Is that guilt I see on your face, sir?
It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
I don't know if I would say flawless. Just who do you think you are, sir? Yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. Oh boy, are we gonna have a deduction theater again? Yep, here we go. So shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Sherlock Sholmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Oh boy, here we go. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Alright, so topic 1. The mystery man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different, as revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what you brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years! The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. I think it might have something to do with initials. What was his initials? Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer to the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle, mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is a shovel. Is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Okay, so the conclusion, to tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Okay, I think we can already see some holes in that theory. Topic 2, the great crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose? Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glances more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council note on the counter, which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us to the at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, this considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of the bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is a top-secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. You've just told everyone it can't be that secret. So, to steal the Great Exhibition's reserve funds. Oh boy. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Right. Okay. Mr. Sholmes. Oh, well, Mr. Narodo. An impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence. And you've just told a pawnbroker and a pickpocket and a lawyer and his assistant. And exactly, thank you, Susato.
But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly, in fact.
And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There could be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it's because the man is a criminal.
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, And then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret.
Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh, my life, I assure you I am not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care, and not given to Herlock Sholmes. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. Good thinking. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo, an excellent idea. Oh my goodness.
Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure.
Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh boy. Course correction, of course. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes, you got some errors there. Alright, so the mystery men's aim to tunnel under the pawnbrokery? Alright, first of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. Or was it? So by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor.
Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he?
No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where? What did Mr. Benedict bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Let's look at his flyer. What does this say? What does this say? It's a scribbled writing. Can we see this?
Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here.
I don't believe it.
What is it?
Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade.
Goodness.
There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although, if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure.
And look, the details of this shop have been written down here too. Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline, 15th April.
Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Alright, so, info about Miss Lestrade is what it is. It's going to be this.
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Winterbank's pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. If it is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. Humph. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutch to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! Why, I've had this cane for years! The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing pharaoh. Nope. What's a pharaoh?
It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement.
Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious.
In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we didn't know. Which is going to be the initials, right? Let's look at that. Well, look here, Miss Tisato. There are some letters on the handle.
Ah, yes. Those must be initials, I think. In the West, it is customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names.
So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean?
That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously. Oh.
AG? Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? Because he says his name is Benedict? Alright. Eggert? Benedict Eggert or something? Alright. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, would you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? Oh yeah, Eggert Benedict, yeah. We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are E.B. Yet in a most possessive manner you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials A.G. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you'd had the cane for years. Grr. So, don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. Did he just rip something? You recall, sir, something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Is it a sword? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him.
But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests everything else he's told us is untrue.
So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Okay, so how can we do that? What do we got? Oh, there's a split seam.
Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart. Look.
So it is.
Do you know, a moment ago, when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said...
Yeah, I thought I heard something ripping.
I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open.
If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart.
I'd like to see.
Sorry?
So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around?
She's really given this some thought. Alright, so... do we present the split seam? Or do we need to somehow make him run around? Let's present the split seam.
Take that!
Let's see what happens. The split seam, which you would evidently like to... Yes. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah. This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond with a redeemed item. Okay. Alright, so the great crime, to steal the Great Exhibition's reserve funds? Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of carnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details, n'est-ce pas? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawn property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter, to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn.
The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think.
Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword?
Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article.
Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Did he just look in the book? Notelet? What's this? Look at this, Mr. Sato.
Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself.
Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Uh-huh. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in alarmingly clear script as well.
Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see?
Okay. What else do we got? Anything else? We got the revolver, an old lamp. It's gotta be the note, right? Because there's nothing else around here. Alright, let's go ahead and present that. and see if that works. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, this broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. And then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. But does it now? The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets.
Which, according to Mr. Windibank, isn't even worth a penny.
And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why?
I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruto.
Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Alright, so we have really just this. A metal disc used to play music in a mechanical music box. This piece of music, which remains unidentified, is stored on a disc by a means of small protrusions. But there was blood on it, right? Like there's this spot of blood. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood.
Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict.
When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger.
Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. And puts me off eating radish. Is there something on the back, though? Oh, okay. What is this? Oh, McGilded? Oh, man.
Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc, look. And scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name.
It's all coming together, guys.
For McGilded.
McGilded? It couldn't be.
But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live.
But why? Why is his name on this? Alright. On the reverse side. So it's been updated. On the reverse is a note that reads for McGilded. Alright, so this is what we present.
Take that!
There we go. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, for McGilded. Yep. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Oh boy. Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. We've defeated him. Alright, so yes, to acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Oh boy. Deduction complete. Elementary, my dear Watson. Alright. Now what? I knew he was mighty suspicious. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances.
Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind.
Pray tell, Mrs. Otto.
Well, according to what Mr. Windibank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would have been precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is 15th April, so 2 months ago today would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests... Was that after he was burned in the carriage?
Yes, 15th February.
Is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place.
And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding.
Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Uh-oh. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose, however. Dude, I must insist that you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a bomb. What do I do? No, we don't hand over the disc. It's gonna be too important. What happens if we say no? Can we, like, duck and cover? There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Uh-oh. Mr. Windibank. This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers if that were to happen. I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windibank, no. Alright, that's enough. Who is this? Oh, you. It's Potato Eating Man. Inspector Gregson. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment. I feel like he should have a bit of a whinier voice, but it's all good. It would seem you have the upper hand. Oh boy. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Winterbank very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're going to have to come with me down to the station. Gotta eat your chips. But of course, Inspector. He just vanished. He's getting away. Get after him, lads. Whistle the beat officer, too. Sir. Oh boy, he just ran away. Where's Gina? Did she disappear too? There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently, so we've fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently and Morning? Oh, yes? I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. She's so frustrated. I wonder what it was. I'm very curious now. And so we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Oh boy. To be continued. Well, what a cliffhanger. Like, what all is even going to be on that disc? Like, are we going to get a chance to find out what it was? This whole plot is just like, it's crazy. Like, something definitely has happened with McGilded, and everything is tying together, and I'm very curious to see how it's all going to tie together in the end. But we will investigate that further in the next episode. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/thehour27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'll be playing each day, I post them on twitter.com/thehour27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.